The next question I'm going to take is the one that comes from Sibahle Khatebe. But we're still going to go back to the others. If you sent your question and we touched on a concept that you wanted us to look at, because they're not the same. The first part might be the same, but as you continue, they get more and more complicated. And I'm going to be a bit quicker now because you guys have seen the basics. So I'm going to take this one that comes from Sibahle because it introduces something different that we haven't really seen since we started working with this particular concept. Right. Okay, so Sabatla's question reads as follows. It says there's a particular A is the center of a circle having the equation x squared. I think this has to be a minus because it's not really visible enough when you're doing the print out here. There's an equation of the circle that is given. There's a point E here that is also given. A point on the circle is also the midpoint of AB. Okay, cool. Midpoint of AB. And BEA is produced to D, and then there's another very interesting that you are told BC is equal to DC. Very powerful. Right, so we have to find the equation of the circle in a different form. We have to find the coordinates of the center and the length of the radius of the circle. Right, so let's draw that for you guys so you can see what is going on. So, Sbatle, the first thing that is important, which is very, very important for people who have not seen this before. If you haven't worked with circles before, I hope you guys know that you're going to need to engage your knowledge of grade 11's completing the square. That is very, very important. So I've got a beautiful circle there, and we're going to have the Cartesian plane quickly, right? And our Cartesian plane looks very nice. It is something along the lines of this, there, and we've got something else, which is what I'm currently looking at right over there. Okay, cool. There's lines that are going and flying around here, but we'll just focus on what you want us to focus on as far as what you give us is concerned, right? So this circle does pass through point A, which is a point in the center here. Okay, we don't know the coordinates of point A. It has got very interesting lines also that are all over here. Let me draw them with a different color so we can see what is going on. We've got point that goes like that, and we're told that point A is the midpoint of BD, where B is here. This is where B is. All right, let's go. B is going to be this point here. This is where B is, and we've got D here. So A is the midpoint of BD. That's what the question says. AB. Okay, E is the midpoint of AB. There's another point E here. Beautiful stuff. And the coordinates of point E are given to us as 2 and -3. D is given to us as 11 and -6, and we've got point C somewhere again lying there. Okay, cool. Then we're gonna have this somewhere there. Okay, let's just try. So the drawing part always gives us problems, guys. That's why when we do a normal show, we get these things with drawings done already, so it becomes easier because we just go straight and start answering the questions. Right, so this is point B, and the last line here is the line that joins point C to point, yes, it joins this line here to that one over there without any challenges, right? So this is actually how the diagram looks roughly, right? It looks better than what I have right now. Here we're told it's 90 degrees, that is point C here. Let's fix our B so that it's visible. We want you guys to see what is going on, right? Okay, cool. So yes, that's going to be B. Oh yes, so B is here. This is point B. We don't know the coordinates of point B at the moment. We don't know the coordinates of C at the moment. We know the coordinates of D. They lie on a right angle triangle that passes through point A. A is the center of the circle, and then we are told that E, right? It says to us here, E, a point on the circle, is also the midpoint of AB, which means the distance from A to E is equal to the distance from B to E. That might be useful to assist us to solve the problem as we go along. Right, so the equation of this circle was given to us in this format. Let's see what was given to us. The examiner told us that the equation of the circle is simply x squared, right, minus 10x, right, plus y squared and plus 8y, right? I don't know what that number, it doesn't look very visible. So let's just say it is probably minus 31 equals to 0, right? The signs are not visible when we're printing your question out, but we'll just give you the concept to help you understand what you would need to do if the sign on 31 was a minus, right? So what do you do in order to work out the coordinates of the center and the radius of the circle? Because the question that we have here says we need to write down the equation in the standard form of x minus a squared and y minus b squared is r squared. So we need to convert this, right, to the form x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared. In order to do this, you're going to use what we call the concept of completing the square. How do you complete the square? Well, you are firstly going to change that 31 from where it is and add 31 on both sides of the equation. You'll end up with x squared minus 10x plus y squared plus 8y is equal to 31, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to first of all focus on the x's, right? And complete the square for them, right? What do you do when you're completing the square? I'm looking at these guys. The magician here, the key number is this number here, that minus 10. With its sign, you're looking at that. So you're going to add half of that number on both sides of the equation. That's all. That is completing the square. Full stop. What do I mean? I've got x squared, I've got minus 10x, right? So I'm adding. What am I adding? I'm adding half of minus 10, which is actually negative 5, right? You add it and you put a square on it. But we are doing math, and the law of conservation of math says what you do on the left, you also need to do on the right-hand side. So I'm also going to add here minus 5 on this side with a square. And for the y's, I'm repeating the same process. I've got y squared, so I'm going to have y squared plus 8y. Now I need to add. You are adding them. What are you adding? You're adding half of that 8. You are adding half of this number for the y's with its sign, right? Not half of 8, but half of positive 8. Like with 10, I was adding half of negative 10. So that's why it became minus 5 squared. And then if you add that, it amounts to positive 4 with a square. But again, the law of conservation of math says what you do on the left, you need to do on the right-hand side. So even this side, I'm going to add half of 8, which is 4, with a square, right? Now, your solution now, you'll be told at school that you'll need to now factorize the first 3 terms into one bracket because it's a perfect square. Factorize the second group of 3 terms and find whatever we are looking for there. So what I normally do is I tell my kids to do the following. You just look at the first 3 guys. Look at these guys. You look at these guys, right? You take the square and a square, you make a square. I don't change that minus 5 squared to 25. I leave it as it is. And then what I normally do is I'll just say, take a square and make a square. This saves you the hassle of factorization. Similarly, with y squared plus 8y plus 4 squared, which is supposed to be 16, I'm not doing anything on it. I'm just going to say on this here, take a square term, which is y, and take a square, which is plus 4, and make a square. And then on the right-hand side, we've got values, which we can then work out using our calculator. Let's just see what will happen. I'm just going to work out what is the sum of 31 and that negative 5 squared. Please use parentheses, the brackets, very important, because if you don't do that, your calculator is going to do something else, which is what you don't want to do. So when I work out all that, I'm left with 72. So I'm getting an answer of exactly 72 here. So this will be the equation of the circle in standard form. We've got that, and we're happy about it. Right. The second question, what is number 2 asking us? Sparta's question is saying we must write down the coordinates of A. Okay, A is the center of the circle though. Look at it. A was given to us as the center of the circle, so you should know that when you're looking for the coordinates of the center of the circle, you're just looking for this number here, the small a value and the small b value there with an opposite sign. If it's a negative, you'll have it as positive. If it's positive, you'll have it as negative. So let's come back and say, examiner, this is actually a 1-mark question. The coordinates of A, we're going to read them from this number here and that number there. So if it's a minus, you're going to say plus. And if it's a plus, you're going to say minus. So those are the coordinates of point A. Okay, cool. The third question is asking us to write down the length of the radius of the circle in third form. Okay. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at x minus 5 squared plus y plus 4 squared is 72. That 72 is going to give us our radius. It is not the radius. That is actually the radius squared. Please be careful of that. 72 is not the radius of the circle. It is the square of the radius of the circle because the equation of the circle comes in standard form with a length of r squared, which means I can then say to the examiner, according to what we are looking at here, the radius, right, is going to be the square root of that 72 because radius squared is 72, so you must take the square root in order to find the answer to this. They said in set form. So what is the square root in set form? So you're looking for the square root of 72. It gives you an answer of 6 root 2. That's what you're looking at here. So I'm going to write 6 root 2 as the final answer here. This is going to be equal to 6 square root of 2 units. It's in set form. If they didn't say in set form, then you would need to use your other methods or the other ideas to figure out what the answer is to that problem by actually converting to 2 decimal places. right? But this side and side form, so I have it as 6 square root of 2. Okay. The next question says we need to calculate the coordinates of B. Calculate the coordinates of B, Sbahle. Where is B? Where is B? Where is B? Now, B is a point somewhere outside of the circle in the fourth quadrant, on the third quadrant, right? And if you agree with me, we know the coordinates of A, which means we can write them down. These coordinates, we just got a value of something and something. I think it was 5 and -4, all right? 5 and -4 is what we found here. Let's just confirm that and make sure that we're not making a mistake. Yes, it's 5 and -4. Those are the coordinates of A. Now, what am I going to use in order to figure out what the coordinates of B are? I'm going to reverse the midpoint. The calculation of the midpoint, the reverse of the midpoint. Right? I'm looking for the coordinates of B. We don't know what they are, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say the x coordinate of the midpoint, which is point E, is given by the x value, right, of B plus the x value of A divided by 2. I'm writing this as the midpoint outside of what you normally have. You normally have x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2 as the coordinates of the midpoint. And that would mean those are the coordinates of point E. Right, so the x coordinate of point E is x of B plus x of A over 2. Now let's simplify this and see what you're going to get. The x value of B, we don't know what that is, but we know the x value of A is 5, and this needs to be divided by 2. The x value of E is also known as 2. Mathematics requires us to remove division. How do you undo division? You undo division by multiplying by 2 on both sides. When you multiply by 2 on both sides, these 2 gets cancelled out. The product of 2 and 2 gives you an answer of 4 is x of B plus 5. If you subtract 5 on both sides, you're going to get -1 as the x value of B. Am I happy to see an answer of -1? Yes, it is on the negative x-axis, so I'm happy that my x value is -1. So I'm going to do the same thing with the y values. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say the y value of the midpoint is the y value of B plus the y value of A divided by 2, because E is in the middle of A and B. What is the y value of E? It was given to us as -3. So I've got -3 equals to y value of B is unknown. The y value of A is -4. This has to be divided by 2. You double on both sides of the equation. You get -6 equals y of B -4. You add 4 on both sides. You end up with -2 is the y value of B. Awesome stuff. So this is going to be -2. And those are the coordinates of point B. Very, very powerful indeed. I hope you can see what you guys are needed to do. It actually helps us to answer some of the questions that were a bit off, in the sense of saying, do you know how to reverse the midpoint, and those kinds of questions. The other ones I see here, the equation of a tangent, we've already tried helping you to understand how to find the equation of a tangent. Remember, a tangent is perpendicular, right? A tangent is always perpendicular to the radius of the circle. So if you know the equation of the radius, you can use that to find the equation of the tangent without any complications. So it's important for you to make sure that you keep that in mind.